either of those languages, but there are some quotes that are emerging from this press conference right now involving Bruno Fernandes. He said there was an opportunity, referring to this potential move to Al Hilal. The president called me and asked if I wanted to go there. They were waiting for me. I spoke to Amrim. He asked me not to go. Manchester United didn't want to sell me. They don't need the money. If I'd wanted to leave, they would have made it happen. There's some more quotes as well. This is really interesting because we spoke about the fact that Bruno Fernandes was going to speak to his family before making the decision. Well, he gives a little bit of insight into that there. He says, Al Hilal were very kind. They spoke to my agent. Then I spoke to my wife. She asked, what do you want to do? She always supports my decisions. It would have been easy to move there. I know the Portuguese players there very well, but I want to play at the highest level and compete for major titles. I can do that, and I still want to. I'm very passionate about football. So there is Bruno Fernandes speaking about his decision to turn down the money from Al Hilal, the opportunity to potentially treble his current earnings he has at Manchester United. It looks like he's set to stay at Manchester United. And there he is explaining why he's decided to turn down potentially £750,000 a year. At 30 years of age, the United captain is set to remain at the club.
What do you make of it, Mark? Because £100 million is a lot of money, and you can do a fair bit of a rebuild with £100 million. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think this is basically it's two parts to the decision, isn't there? Because Manchester United will probably think, on one hand, £100 million for a 30-plus-year-old is great business for us. Therefore, it makes sense to sell him, and we can reinvest that money. The other thing is a footballing decision, and they'll say, well, hang on a second, you know, this is our captain, this is our leader, this has been our most consistent player over the course of the last few seasons. Without Bruno Fernandes in that Manchester United team, where would we be? You know, he has been so influential. He's been an ever-present, misses very, very few games. So therefore, from a footballing perspective, we need this guy right now, and we're going to go for a rebuild, then we need him to be a part of it. When you look at the money that he's turned down, I have so much respect for him, because it's not easy to turn down that kind of cash, because it is life-changing. Even though he's a multi-millionaire, when someone's putting on the table that kind of money that can transform your family's life forever, and you can go to a completely different place financially, you have to respect him. I think he had a brilliant relationship with the Manchester United fans. They absolutely loved him. And when he's made a decision like this and put that football club first before himself and made a footballing decision, not a financial one, I think it shows you a lot about his mindset, his mentality, type of character and person he is. And if Manchester United have him in the middle of the pitch under that new rebuild and under this new look Ruben Amorim team, it gives them a real chance. So I have so much respect for that kind of decision, because it wouldn't be easy. It's
such an encouraging statement, isn't it? Because you look at where Manchester United were only a few days ago, the 21st of May, that £100 million match against Tottenham. They lost that game and it felt like United couldn't get any worse. It felt like, where on earth does this football club go from here? There's some that have covered the club, some that have been fans for more than 50 years, saying, I've never felt this low as a Manchester United fan. Well, in the space of the last few days, their captain has confirmed his future. He's committed himself to this football club. What a statement of intent that is, how encouraging that is, that the captain, who's got the opportunity to go and earn a ridiculous sum of money elsewhere, believes in the project when so many seem to have lost faith in that project. He believes in Ineos, he believes in Ruben Amorim as their head coach, signing Mateus Cunha over the course of the last few days as well. It feels like United have gone from rock bottom to being in a place where fans can maybe start to feel slightly optimistic about the future of this football club, but potentially with Brian Mbeumo coming in as well. So for United, this is absolutely huge. Yes, they could have made a huge amount of money from selling Bruno Fernandes, but you'd argue the money that they bring in, would they spend that wisely? And is it worth losing this man for free in 4 years' time when he's got them back to where they need to be?
Well, I can tell you that Gary Neville agrees with you, because he's been speaking about all the misery at United and how this sends a positive message.
It's significant. I think that the money that was on the table was big, so I think that there was an element of this situation that meant that United getting that level of money for someone at Bruno's age, obviously you couldn't say that it would have been a bad deal, but on the other hand, Manchester United's star player, only player at times, for the last sort of 4, 5, 6 years has been Bruno Fernandes. He's the one player that I can point towards that's been a success. Him staying at the club, Cunha coming in, does give them a couple of players with personality that might just make a difference next season, hopefully. It would have been easy for him at the end of this season to say, look, I'm done here. You know, there will have been a huge amount of money on the table for him to go over to Saudi. But the fact that he's stayed, I think, will endear himself towards Manchester United fans even more. And even towards me. I mean, obviously, I'm a United fan, but the idea that to turn that money down and at a point where Manchester United are at their lowest ebb and say, no, I want to fight through this. I want to see it through the other side. I want to come out and, you know, achieve things, I think says a lot about him as a person, as a character. And I think United fans will warm to that, because at this moment in time, the club needs people who are going to run through a brick wall for them. And I think the decision he's made this morning, or it feels like he's made this morning, I think that's something that will become apparent.
Yeah, Gary Neville, it's all well and good that the captain stays, everyone's happy, but United want to invest, they want to spend, and we know the trouble they've been in because we've seen all the cuts. So how do they get players in the door when they could have had £100 million worth of players in the door?
I think Manchester United are Manchester United, one of the biggest institutions in the world. And regardless of whether they're playing Champions League, Europa League or even Europa Conference League football...
Or no European
football, there will be players queuing up to join that football club because of its recent history, because of what Sir Alex Ferguson created. It's a juggernaut of a football club that's lost its way. But you get the feeling that it won't be like that forever. Now, they have good people at the football club. They have ambitious coaching staff. They have players, and they have a captain that's passionate about the Old Trafford project. One player we have been speaking about that potentially could be departing, Anthony, Marcus Rashford, Kobbie Mainoo. There are players there that have value. The big thing Manchester United fans will be saying is, well, OK, fine, lose those players, but who's going to come in? We know that Matheus Cunha is a player that Manchester United are going to sign. They wanted someone in that 10 position. They've got someone. They want another one. The latest is on Bryan Mbeumo is that he has signalled his intent to Manchester United that he would like to join them, over the course of this summer.
And that's their attacking option. Look at all of those players. They can't possibly need all of them.
Of course. And like we say, a number of them will represent some value. And there will be clubs interested in possibly doing a deal for those players at Manchester United. We've got Bryan Mbeumo down the bottom with an asterisk, which means it's not done yet.
Long way to go.
But this is a player that brings guaranteed performances, end product and goals. That's what he's been doing at Brentford since 2019. We know that he's got 1 year left, plus a club option year as well. But Brentford have actually been really sensible and respectful to the player who has given everything since he arrived. And they said, look, we understand what you've done for this football club, what you've brought to us, what you've given. So therefore, if the right offer comes in, we're prepared to let you go. And we respect you that much. You've earned the right to move on should you get that opportunity. So, yeah, this is definitely one to keep an eye on. It's our information as well that the other interest from Premier League sides in Bryan Mbeumo, he has politely declined, saying Manchester United is where my focus is. So therefore, this rebuild that seems to be happening quite quickly could have two new really important attacking players, despite that long list of players they already have in the building at the moment.
Yeah, head at United, uncomfortable times because Sancho's gone back, Anthony's going to have to go back, Rashford's going to have to go back. Tricky times?
Yeah, potentially. Let's be honest. There's been a lot of tricky times at Old Trafford over the course of the last few seasons. Things that really aren't going in the way in which Sir Jim Ratcliffe had hoped, the fans have hoped. So they're going to have to make some big decisions. And you've seen that over the course of the last 12 months. You know, there's been a lot of people that have worked at Manchester United that have lost their jobs. There's going to have to be big decisions made with regards to some of those players you've mentioned about the football side of things. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe has quite openly said, look, we cannot afford to keep operating in the way we have been. We have to trim costs. We have to be more sustainable. We have to be careful. We have to get our investment right. And when you look at those players, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Anthony, best part of £1 million a week there that's going to be potentially not involved in that first team if Ruben Amorim doesn't step in and say, actually, clean slate, these boys can play for me and they can prove that they're Manchester United players over the course of pre-season. And if they do that, no problem. However, you get the feeling that the accountants might just be leaning in and saying, actually, we could do with lifting him off the wage bill. He represents 100% pure profit for PSR. So therefore, actually, our favourite situation would be that these depart the football club. And that's where they're going to have to find suitors. And that's the problem. Because is someone going to pay £40 million for Marcus Rashford? Is someone going to get close to the £80 million that they paid for Anthony. He's just been on loan at Real Betis. So therefore, Manchester United are probably going to have to accept we're going to lose some money, but how much can we afford to lose and how much do we want to lose? And of course, wages, another problem. James has mentioned it there. When you're on £300,000 a week and someone offers you 150, you're going to say, actually, I'm not going to leave Manchester United. So then United have got to be clever and creative and say, well, we'll make up the difference for you to go.
Yeah.
Brian Mbeumo has sent a message on social media after handing Manchester United a major transfer boost. The summer transfer window is open and Mbeumo has admirers at Old Trafford ahead of next season. The Brentford star enjoyed one of his best individual seasons last term, scoring 20 goals in the Premier League. That form has seen Mbeumo heavily linked with a move away from the GTEC Community Stadium, with United keen to complete a move. Arsenal, Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur have also been credited with an interest in the Cameroon international over the last few months. The Manchester Evening News understands United have a genuine interest in signing Mbeumo, with the player also thought to be keen on a move to Old Trafford. Talks between United and Brentford are set to get underway in the near future, with the forward valued at around £60 million this summer. Amid reports stating Mbeumo wants the move, the 25-year-old has issued a message on social media. The Brentford star posted a photo of the entrance to the Stade Léon-Laurent training facility in France on his Instagram story. The post was accompanied by a three-word caption which read, "Where everything began." Mbeumo posted a message shortly before a report emerged on Tuesday about his preference to join United this summer. United have already kick-started their summer transfer business with the arrival of Mrs. Cunha from Wolves. The Brazilian had a £60.50 million release clause in his contract at Molineux, which United have now activated to bring the player to Old Trafford. It remains to be seen which deals United will feel beyond the signing of Cunha. Mbeumo's name is likely to be in the headlines over the next few days, but it remains unclear at this moment in time if a deal between United will be agreed.